All right, explain this one. How come the media got inside the U.S. consulate in Libya 3 days later, and it took until yesterday, 24 days later, for a heavily armed FBI escorted by several dozen special operations forces with armored vehicles to get in there? And once there, they didn't stay long to investigate or to talk to people. The agents left the ruins of our consulate after about 12 hours. Now, add into the equation the Obama administration's bizarre handling of what they have been telling the American people what's going on there. So what is going on? Something just doesn't seem right. Congressman Michael Grimm is a former FBI special agent and Marine. He joins us. Good evening, sir. Why couldn't they get into that compound, the FBI?
Well, I think the FBI could have gotten in, but I think the FBI made the prudent decision. If it was not secure for them, if they felt that their agents would be in harm's way, they're not going to send them in there, which, begs the question, why weren't they secure? That's the real question. Isn't why the FBI agents weren't in there, it's because safety issues. The question is, though, why wasn't the military brought in? Why weren't those armored cars and all that security brought in 3 weeks ago rather than 3 weeks later? That's the real question, is why did it take so long to get them the security that they need to do their job?
Are you suggesting, there's no doubt in my mind it's dangerous there. I mean, we have 4 Americans who have been murdered there. No doubt in my mind. What I don't understand, though, is that the show of force that went in there yesterday, who went in there with armored vehicles and special operations and heavily armed, and the media was in there a day or 2 or 3 days later. I don't understand. Was the media reckless?
Well, I think the media is first of all, is not as big a target as special agents of the FBI. They don't represent the Western world in the same way that officials do. So I think that they did take a little bit of a chance by being there. There's no question. This is not the first incident that happened in Libya. There was a dozen incidents, if not more, prior to this. So I do think that CNN did take some chances. But the fact that this crime scene was not secured is another big question. Why wasn't the crime scene secured immediately?
Well, they couldn't get in. I mean, the first chance they would either they get it secured by working with the Libyan government. That's the first choice, or they go in themselves and secure it. By the time they got there yesterday, it was trampled, it was degraded, everything was wrong with it.
Right, but again, it wasn't the FBI's job to secure the crime scene after it happened. There should have been, the State Department should have deployed, whether it was Marines, Special Forces units, whomever was in the area that could have been dispatched from Tripoli, there were Marines, they should have secured that scene immediately. Because the first thing you learn about crime scene is, if you don't secure it, either people are going to come in and steal evidence, evidence is going to degrade, you have biological, whether it's fingerprints, blood, whatever can be left behind that you might want to ascertain. Footage, what about camera footage that could have been stolen? So there's no excuse for not securing that scene.
All right, ABC News has obtained an internal State Department email, indicating that the State Department denied a request from the security team at the Embassy of Libya to retain a DC-3 airplane. This was from last May, and it was copied on the email was Ambassador Chris Stevens. Now, frankly, I don't see this as a huge red flag, because a DC-3 there I don't think would have in any way prevented these 4 murders. But your thoughts?
I agree with that as far as a DC-3. However, in light of all the other facts that are coming to light now, you had multiple attacks. Even the British closed their consulate because of attacks. You had the Red Cross, the International Red Cross was there. They had an RPG, hit at their facility. So there were multiple attacks over, I think, more than 12 or 13 that definitely said they needed security. They requested security more than one time. So I don't know how, leading up to 9/11, our administration, our State Department did not take the appropriate steps to make sure that American citizens abroad were secure. That is the #1 job of the federal government, is to keep its citizens secure, whether it's here in the continental United States or whether it's overseas.
Ambassador Rice has now written a letter dated October 4th, and it says, in part, this was a response to some U.S. senators who wanted to know why she went on TV essentially right afterwards and said that it was that video. And she says, in part, I relied solely and squarely on the information the intelligence community provided to me. The information represented the intelligence community's best current assessment as of the date of my television appearances. If that is an indictment of the quality of our intelligence operations, I don't know what is. That should be terrifying.
I agree with you. However, I don't think that is accurate. First of all, you do not have to be in the intelligence community to know that that was not a spontaneous uprising. They brought RPGs, they brought mortar rounds, and they moved
So what was the point of going on the television show and giving that story?
Well, that's actually that's the ultimate question. I think it was a big mistake by the administration. I think they were trying to make this look like it was not as serious as it actually was. This administration in the past has been very hesitant to say the word terrorism, let alone to admit there was a terrorist attack against our embassy or against our consulate. So I think that this was a very, very poorly played boondoggle on behalf of our administration. And now we're seeing, based on all the evidence coming out and all the intelligence reports, that they knew beforehand that there was going to be danger. They did not take the appropriate steps. And then after a terrorist attack happens, they were hoping that it wasn't what it was, but it certainly was a terrorist attack.
Congressman, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, the debate only lasted 90 minutes.